Gather around, children, to hear the story of Storm in Magic the Gathering. Before we hop right into the video, leave a like and subscribe. I'm an avocado talking about Magic the Gathering. That's pretty freaking cool. Also, 100% of the ad revenue from this video is going to be donated directly to the American Red Cross Hurricane Relief Fund, helping those impacted by Hurricane Helene and Milton. So, like, comment, drive some engagement, and watch the full video to make sure you can help out the American Red Cross by, watching the video. I get more money, I send it there. It's good, it's cool. Let's hop back into the video. It was the spring of 2003. Everybody loved Raymond, and MySpace was not going anywhere for a very long time. It's still around, you know what I'm saying? Wink, wink. Anyway, there was a stork carrying in its burlap sack a mechanic that would shake the foundation of Magic forever. That baby was Storm. Storm, like its name, would cause many waves in the Magic the Gathering community because Storm was basically the chosen one. Its power level was unlike anything anyone has ever seen. And you're wondering, but why was it so strong? Well, we need to talk about what Storm really is. Storm is a keyword ability that creates a copy of the spell when it is cast for each spell cast before it in the current turn. Your spells, opponent spells, doesn't matter. You get a copy, the storm count increases. And it's extremely powerful in decks that can arrange for many cheap spells to happen. An example deck of the time, this is very back then before Commander existed, but you could run multiple copies of Chrome Mox and Grim Monolith, which you would then untap with Twiddle. Notice that's already 3 spells right there. You would twiddle around until you can tinker away your Chrome Mox. Goodbye, Chrome Mox. And bring in something like a Gilded Lotus. Ooh, taps for 3 mana now, so your Twiddle is now mana positive. You run out of Twiddle, that's fine. You've got Dream's Grip. Untapping, making a bunch of mana, and casting spells until you get out your Tendrils of Agony. It's a storm spell that says target player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. By the time you've got this out, you have casted at least 10 spells by now, which means you will drain out your opponent and win the game, because this is before Commander life total is like 20. People played different games back then, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, it was so strong that even God himself said, Storm is probably the most broken mechanic we have ever created, and it's caused problems every time we brought it back. He compares this mechanic to a dysfunctional relationship where R&D keeps thinking, maybe this time things will be different. They'll never say never, but there will have to be a pretty strong reason to bring Storm back. Basically, like the god Osiris, ancient Egyptian one of the underworld, who would judge the weight of a human heart and their sins up against the feather of truth. So too does this god, Mark Rosewater, use the scale where you can measure a mechanic up against the storm to see how strong it is. This was known as the Storm Scale. It is a ranking of the likelihood that a given mechanic will be reprinted in any future standard legal set. Mechanics ranked from 1, very likely, these are evergreen keywords, to 10, very unlikely, like Storm. You see, Storm was such a bad boy that they changed the very definition of broken to mean storm. There's a picture of it right there when you look it up. Promise, cross my heart. So, because of that, Storm died. No longer will it be printed again, and it passed into memory. History became legend, legend became myth, and for 2,500 years, Storm was forgotten. But like Christ coming out of the tomb, so too did Storm return with its sandals, but slightly disguised. Yes, indeed. Cards like 1,000-Year Storm play off of the memory of Storm, because whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you've cast before it this turn. Same thing with Show of Confidence. When you cast the spell, copy it for each other instant and sorcery spell you cast this turn. This became the new way of storming off. Only your instant and sorcery spells, no longer reliant on creature spells or opponent spells. Only your instant and sorcery spells. And so, Storm died yet again, lost from memory. History became legend, legend became myth, you know the whole thing. But then, like your drunk friend that you sent home from the bar, he came back this time in his full power. That's right, we got cards like Ave, Progenitor Ooze, a legendary creature with Storm, which is freaking awesome. I would love to play this deck. You get a bunch of oozes. It's awesome. They also reprinted Storm in selective sets like Rad Storm, where you proliferate a bunch of times from Fallout, or Amphibian Downpour, where you enchant a bunch of people and turn them into frogs from Modern Horizon 3. All of History All at Once from Doctor Who, where you time travel and do some suspend mechanics. And Elemental Eruption from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, making a bunch of dragons, which is cool, and they have prowess. It's neat. And finally from Bloomborough, Ral Crackling Wit, where you ultimate him, draw a bunch of cards, and your emblem says instant and sorcery spells you cast have Storm. So it's a very selective mechanic. It comes back slightly every once in a while, pretty much. It's pretty cool. Now, you're probably wondering, I want to play Storm. Well, the easiest commander I would recommend is Kaikar, Wind's Fury. He is 1 blue, red, white for a bird wizard 3/3. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you make a white spirit creature token with flying, and you can sack a spirit to add a red mana. You're going to want to cast a lot of cantrip spells where you draw cards, get mana back, drawing a bunch of cards. Wow, I've got a lot of cards. My storm count is really high. Meanwhile, while you cast these, you've got your Mondrak Glory Dominus, you've got your Osher Talk. They're getting a little bit freaky in the dumpster outside the Denny's, making more spirits than celebrities who have nothing better to do. And then all those spirits, trigger your Impact Tremors and your Perforos type effects, so you can win that way. Or you can take your Casper the Friendly Ghost and throw him into the Pro Cut KG22W number 22 Electric Meat Grinder with Safeguard and grind them up, sacrificing them to get a bunch of red mana, which you can then use to cast Grape Shot after you've cast a billion spells. Instead of doing one shot, you're doing a minigun level damage to your opponent, storming off and winning the game. It's pretty cool. And if that doesn't tickle your fancy, other commanders like Veyrin, Voice of Duality, do a great job. You cast a bunch of spells, you make Veyrin really big, you trample in and do a bunch of damage. Or Bergi, God of Storytelling. You cast a bunch of 1-mana spells, getting 1 red mana back, and then you can cast a bunch of spells, so you never really lose mana. It's pretty cool. Or Stella Lee, Wild Card. You're like Storm at home. You can tap and copy target instant or sorcery spell you control, and you can choose new targets for the copy only if you've cast 3 or more spells this turn, which is pretty cool. Now, Storm today looks a lot different than it did back then. Back in the day, Storm was king. Storm ruled on an iron throne. Now Storm sort of sits in the back alleyway, every once in a while showing up when needed, like Batman or a noir detective. Storm is basically like a Stan Lee cameo from a days long gone where everybody loved Raymond. And that's where we end our story for today. Storm, a great mechanic, a great thing to show up every once in a while, but it was very strong and needed to be dialed back. But that brings us to the end of the video. If you liked it, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. If you have extra money lying around, donate to the Red Cross. I have the link in the description down below to help support people impacted by the storms. You know what I'm saying? Those darn Is-It players. You see what I did there? Anyway, I also have a Discord. Join it. It's fun. It's cool. There's a lot of people playing around with magic. It's cool. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.